And you say it's a Greek song?
No, I'm just saying we have a version of it with Greek lyrics. Now the song, I don't know where it's coming from. It might be Greek, Albanian, Bulgarian, Turkish, I don't know.
The director of this documentary, this fantastic documentary, leaves it out. What's the original of the song? And she does it by chance because she doesn't want the message of the whole thing is it's public dominion. Everybody has the right to approach the song. But I'm not sure, but I know a history about the song. I think there was a kind of cabaret theatre in Istanbul in the 70s of the 19th century. It was led by Armenian people, and they had this song in a kind of stage play, and it became an evergreen, a total super hit all over the Ottoman Empire. I don't know if it's true. So today, in nationalistic terms, they would say it's a Turkish song. But that shows a lot about the stupid questions, because in Ottoman times, and I'm very interested in this topic, this question was not possible because there was no national claim on anything. Okay, national ideologies started in the 19th century, especially in Greece, later Balkans and so on. It was import from Germany and Western Europe. But in the Ottoman Empire, you couldn't say this is Turkish or this is this ethnic. The ethnic origins were not as important as a issue of identification, more religion or local identities. So you could say it comes from a Turkish region, from Istanbul, but it's not a Turkish song, because if the story is true, it was invented by an Armenian theater group. The point of it, national rights of possession of cultural goods, had not such a big meaning as they have today. And I think we all are infected by these national approaches and national things.
It's amazing how that unifying song that all of them different people sing can cause friction between them. Rather than unification, it can cause a sort of real hatred.
Did I know from I think very good source this scene in the Serbian kafana, this coffee house, where they're starting to struggle. It's a fake scene.
Is it?
Because the husband of Adela Pejeva, he's a Serb. And they wanted to have such a scene. It didn't really happen. But it could.
Yeah. The Bulgarian guys seemed quite...
They are very authentic. But I have little problems because now there's the impression that the Serbs are more nationalistic or rude than other people. This could have happened in each country. In Austria especially.
We don't claim that song for us. Not yet.
Yeah, we don't have as beautiful songs.
We don't have the lyrics.
I don't think not only this song, maybe there were a lot of songs here.
But this particular song, I mean, the sheer geographic area it covers is shocking. It's basically from Sicily, last time I heard. There is a version apparently in Sicily, all the way to Rajasthan, including everything in between, Afghanistan, Iran, most of the Arab countries, Israel.
Yeah.
This song, the melody.
Yeah,
the melody,
yeah.
Because the melody is the same everywhere, more or less. You might have a different note or a different way of playing it, but the lyrics is the thing that caused people to say that the Muslims were saying that this is a Muslim song, is a Muslim prayer.
But you had, within Sarajevo, you had two. You had the one who said that this is a song that brings everyone together, and the Muslims and the Catholics and everyone took care of it. And then some blocks away, there was this choir singing in a very nationalistic Muslim way. We did not show you, they were singing like a lot, Allah, Allah, Allah. I thought this was really extreme within the city.
But nationalist scientists wouldn't agree with what you say. They would also say, no, the way we play the instruments and all this very arbitrary things like ornamentation, that's a typical Greek or typical Albanian thing and so on.
But that's
nothing
not
to do with
musical
Turks.
reaction, you know? I mean, why is it so important that it's specifically places that it relates to, or them illusions of nations, these borders. They're obviously not really there, the borders, are they? They kind of fluctuate, music moves around.
But I think this leads to very interesting questions, because when we deal with folk music or traditional ballads as a kind of collective possession, then we have to ask ourselves, who's the subject of this collective? Who are we who claim that these songs or this music is ours? I mean, is it similar like the national borders, the national culture, or some subculture and so on? I think even if we are smart and liberal and leftist, and we also are infected by these old ways of organic, homogeneous beings like nations, people, the common people, and so on. And yeah, we should ask ourselves. I think it's total bullshit.
It's only 40 years old, right? So.
No. I mean, the melody maybe is age old, but it became, I think, in the Ottoman Empire an evergreen in the 1870s. It was a kind of cabaret song. Stage play.
We had the discussion last time when there was this, that in Great Britain you had this, how was it called in school? When you were teach the traditional songs. A couple that was with us told us, so like what would you teach as traditional, typical for your, what would you teach in school then? And with what rights would you teach this song and not another one, for example?
Because in Britain we used to teach traditional English songs in primary school, but that's all stopped now. And I think this is where the discussion started last.
But do you exclude, for instance, Scottish border songs or Irish songs from that, or Welsh songs? Is it a typical English thing?
No. Well, I think in Scotland they might.
In Wales,
exclude English songs.
in Wales they do as well. My brother's a teacher in a Welsh school, and they are very conscious of their culture, and they do teach. He does teach Welsh songs and so on.
But it's a
But
minority.
in English schools, I suspect not.
They do have, though, it's part of the curriculum in English schools that you have to do word music.
Yeah.
So as well, you have to do,
Well, it's interesting that actually the necessity to do world music means that actually you end up looking, because the world music's so broad, you end up looking at everything other than specifically English folk music. And I think that part of the issue with teaching traditional English folk tunes in primary school or secondary school is that while in Wales and Scotland they are, like you say, a minority sort of heritage, so they focus on what is very dear to their own heart. In England it's been lost, because certainly in primary school the teaching of music was lost, I think, for a few years, and so now that it doesn't really matter what songs you sing as long as you're singing songs.
But maybe it's an artificial reinforcement of this music, whereas in other more, let's call backward areas of Great Britain, there was a living tradition, a continuity. But as I remember, for instance, in the folk scenes in the 60s and 70s, all English musicians played, when they played instrumental tunes, they played Scottish and Irish tunes. So maybe there's a little bit of, not inferiority complex, but we have to keep this wild, sexy Celtic stuff out to keep our own traditions.
Trouble is, in England, if you do too much which is apparently just English, you're a kind of you're a radical politician or something like that. You're British National Party, National Front, or something like that, and so that's frowned upon. Whereas in Wales and in Ireland and in Scotland, there is an awful lot more, comfort in their own, nationality and background. Really, it's stupid. It's completely bizarre, and just lacking common sense, quite honestly.
The musical culture in Scotland and Ireland is perhaps a bit more alive than it is in England, and therefore doesn't need to be taught in schools.
We have a similar, I would say, without doing research, we have a similar situation.